Cards and Castles. It's a really cool trading card game that interacts with the board instead of just playing a card and the card is the object. Instead, a new object is created and that's a character. So, for example, this peasant militia, right? He plays the card comes out as an actual character, and then he moves it across the board. It's a really cool concept. It's been done before, notably with Duelist, and Duelist actually does a really great job of it. But this is a really nice, more casual kind of. It's more simple, and it's a lot more fun looking, man. Look at this. This is really great. It actually reminds me a lot of, what was it called? Munchkins? I think it's Munchkin. It's a card game or a board game called Munchkin. I've never actually played it, but it reminds me a lot of it. It's very cute, it's very funny. It's got a lot of liveliness to it. So this guy's attacking my castle, and I need to protect this castle, right? So every turn he's gonna have a chance to move every unit that he has, play a card, move every unit, and attack with every unit. And I need to defend from that. So the goal of the game, of course, is to reduce your opponent's castle down to 0. And in doing so, you're gonna have to wrestle board control among a plethora of other things. So far I actually haven't been able to do much because a lot of my cards are actually high cost, but that's all good. We get our dragon out, and our dragon is a lot more powerful, so we should be able to get, at least a 2-for-1 on this, which means I'm going to be able to take down 2 cards from my 1 card, and that's how you win the game. Basically, you keep getting 2-for-1s across the board, or not necessarily 2-for-1s, but you keep wrestling board control, so that your opponent is always playing on the back foot. You always have the first opportunity to change the board. Now, it's a little bit different since every unit can come out and attack the same turn, but generally, you have the upper hand. Because your cards are already there, your opponent has to deal with them, or else his board is going to basically be destroyed immediately, or his castle is just going to straight up take a whole bunch of damage. And I thought that was so weird because it gives all units stealth. Which I guess it makes sense since it's such a cheap card that has to have a downside like that. Because you can use the stealth a lot more effectively than he can. So what I'm going to be doing here is I've got this unit that attacks twice every turn. Very, very quaint. And I combine that with all these buffs, right? So I'm going to be doing 20 damage in a single turn. That's why you have to have board control, because if he had something on the board previously, I would have to deal with that first, or else I would just get destroyed immediately. And then he would have board control, and he'd be free to do what he wants. And I don't want that. And since he has all these weak cards, he can't really do anything. So it's a pretty easy win. It's a killer combo, man. I got an achievement for that. So this is a free-to-play game on Steam. It's very cool. We're going to play at least one more match, just kind of check out some more of this. And there's all these different archetypes, right? So we have the Vikings, Crusaders, Pirates, Warlocks, and Ninjas. Each one has a different... If you haven't played card games before, it's a bit tough to explain, but basically, everybody has access to a set of neutral cards. Neutral meaning any class can use them. So like that Scout and Legionnaire on the screen right now, they have the tan background. So they are neutral. The card in my hand right now is called the Ancestral Favor. That's a pink or purple card. That is exclusive to the Ninja class. So I got another one right there. At least I'm almost certain this is Ninja class. And conversely, the Warlock right there has the Mischievous Imp, which is Warlock only because there's a red background. So basically, every class has access to the neutral cards, and then each class has access to their own personal set of cards that are unique to that class. And those cards are typically more powerful than neutral cards, so that kind of dictates how the match will play out. So, for example, ninjas have a lot of stealth cards. They have lots of like poison and board control, like actual physical board control, as in they move units across it very quickly. And they're very sneaky, and they can do lots of damage very quickly. Conversely, the class I played last time, which was the Viking class. It was either the Viking or the Crusaders. I forget which. It was probably the Crusader. No. But basically, that class, what that did is it has very big, beefy units they're very difficult to take down, but they're also pretty easy to play around because, you know, they're just balls of stats, basically. So that's the kind of the deck thing. So basically, you can pick from any of these decks. You can main them. You can play them all you want, a single one all you want. And there's this mechanic of packs, so you get new cards to add to your deck. So if you get like a really super awesome legendary card, you may want to switch decks so you can utilize that. When I say legendary, I'm not actually 100% positive there's rarities in this just yet, but I do know that there are special cards that are more rare. So I think I play one either this match or the next match. And it's a really cool card. It looks very cool. In general, this whole game just looks pretty phenomenal. Like, I really enjoy how like cutesy it is. It's a bit of a change from Duelist, which is almost exactly the same thing, except instead of a castle, you have like basically one big unit. And they can do damage, and they also have a pretty similar amount of health. And the whole game, it plays very similar. But also shares similarities with Hearthstone. It's obviously not of the production value of Blizzard, but it's still pretty great. Like, it's got sound effects and everything. It's got quaint music in the background. And the tutorial and all the... see, there's like a legendary, quote-unquote legendary card. It's a very nifty thing we got going on there. Basically, I'm pretty sure that just teleported across the map. And I basically get a free 6 damage, and he has to deal with this in some way. But as you saw there, I took 3 damage, seemingly at random. That was because of one of his cards actually did damage. So it's a very tricky thing that there can be so many things going on at once. But the trick is, like I was mentioning earlier, you want to control the board. You want to limit your opponent's options. And that's how you do it. This is a cool unit, the Legionnaire. It's going to be attacking everything in a single line. It's a very big, beefy unit. Once we really start getting to the late game, units become incredibly difficult to take down. As opposed to the Warlock, who has lots of small units. So, even though I took a ton of damage in the early game, I was able to come back by controlling the board. I don't know why this is turning into, like, a guide for, like, playing it at an advanced level. I kind of default to that because I play so much other card games. But yeah, I mean, this game is actually pretty simple. It's not as complicated as it may seem immediately. You're like, oh my god, there's cards, there's effects, there's so much going on at once. It's really not. It's just, you have all your cards in your hand, you place one in the back row, you move a unit, and you just generally try to make sure your opponent can't do very much. And that's kind of what you do in every card game, really, is... that's what you do in every game, everywhere, actually, really. You force your opponent to play your way. You dictate the pace of the game. You know, in basketball, you force your opponent to play on defense more often than not. I don't know other sports. I know like chess, though, you know, you can force your opponent to a corner. So I'll probably play one more here. I'm gonna play the Warlocks? Yes, I'm playing the Warlocks. So this is the deck that is going to be very fast paced, very burn heavy. And as you can see there, you may just to clarify, every class has access to a basic set of cards. So you're going to see a lot of these same cards a lot, like the Scout and the Peasant Militia, which can be a little bit confusing off the bat. Like, why can't I use these cards, but they can't? But then they can use those cards, and I can use those cards. But it gets a little bit... It definitely... Once you start playing, it gets so much easier. But also, it really helps, I guess, that I've already played the game like this so much. It's a nice... I think this game really fills a great niche. Like I was saying before, there's Hearthstone and Magic the Gathering. They're two sides of the same coin, right? They're both card games, but one caters to a more casual audience, and the other is a more serious, or not necessarily serious, but... dedicated, I guess, fan base. Because there's a lot more to learn in Magic. Similar to this, Duelist already exists. Duelist is a really great game. I play it all the time. But this is a nice kind of flip of the coin where it's more cutesy, it's a bit more simple. You don't have to worry about the general aspect. And what I mean general as in like the general warrior unit that is both what you have to protect and attack with. This is just, you protect the fortress, that's it. And also, I really enjoy the look of these cards. They're so good. And you know, everything has animations. It's all pretty high quality, actually. Which is a bit surprising considering... like, this genre isn't super in demand right now. Hearthstone has a stranglehold on the TCG market. And then Duelist is I keep mentioning those games, but really, when the genre is as small as this, I can't help but reference them because they're so. Since there's so few of them, it's like if you're talking about Call of Duty. I mean, if you're talking about any first-person shooter, you compare it to CS:GO, you compare it to Call of Duty, because there really isn't that many first-person shooters out there. At least when it comes to like multiplayer, online arena kind of thing. If you're talking about MOBAs, you're talking about Dota. If you're talking about League of Legends and stuff like that, it really helps to reference other things to help get a better understanding. And that's pretty much the case with this. It's so similar to other things, but at the same time, it really brings its own sense of uniqueness with its visual style and the cards. So there's my legendary unit. He's big. He's very scary. He's 212. It's not especially strong, especially when you get to the later part of the game. But he's still pretty deadly. My opponents don't really have much of a way to deal with this. Which is great, which is what I want. I don't want to give my opponents a way to deal with anything. So that's pretty much it. I'm not going to finish this game. I think it actually goes on for quite a bit longer. But it's a great game. You should absolutely check it out. Thanks for watching.